Hello out there. Let's talk about that paper you recently submitted to a target journal. Let's talk about rejection. Here's some good news right off the bat. Outright rejection is less common than you might think. In fact, the most frequent outcome is something like this: accepted with minor revisions, or sometimes major revisions. And that's important because it means the journal is interested in your work. You then revise the manuscript, respond to the reviewers' and editors' comments, and then you resubmit. In my experience, that process usually makes the paper better. Now, when a paper is rejected, the reason is often pretty straightforward. Most commonly, it's because the article doesn't quite fit the journal's aims and scope, or it isn't seen as a good match for the readership. If you want to avoid that problem, one of the best things you can do is spend some time choosing the right journal before you ever submit. I've written about this elsewhere, but it's worth repeating here. Finding the right journal really does matter. So, what can you do to improve your chances? Let's start with the basics. Go through your manuscript carefully and make sure it clearly communicates what you intend to say. Double check that it follows the journal's author instructions. Fix spelling and grammar errors. Even small ones can distract reviewers. Next, look for consistency. Make sure the data reported in the text match what's shown in your tables and figures. Use terms of measurement units consistently throughout the paper. Then, take a close look at your methods and results. Ask yourself, do the procedures you describe in the materials and methods actually line up with what you report in the results? Have you clearly explained your statistical methods and how you applied them? Doing this can well head off reviewers' questions about the validity of your conclusions before the questions ever come up. And don't forget the discussion section. That's where you make your case. Highlight what's new about your work. Explain how it advances existing knowledge. Reviewers want to know, why does this study matter? Now, many journals will ask you to suggest possible reviewers. A quick word of caution here. Journals generally prefer that you don't recommend current or recent collaborators. That said, if you have colleagues or friends who can't serve as formal peer reviewers, consider asking them for an informal pre-submission review. A fresh set of eyes can be very helpful. You can also lean on technology. For example, you might ask your favorite AI assistant to generate a list of investigators who've published studies similar to yours. You will need to describe what similar means in your case. But this can be a useful way to think strategically about your field and audience. And now, here's a statistic. Evidence suggests that the first journal authors submit to often ends up accepting their work. A large study published in Science tracked more than 80,000 manuscripts submitted to hundreds of biology journals over several years. About 75% of those papers were ultimately published by the first journal they were sent to. And here's the part I really like. Papers that went through one or more rounds of revision before acceptance were cited more frequently than papers accepted without any changes. So revisions are not a bad sign. They're often a sign that your work is being taken seriously and that it's being strengthened along the way. The takeaway? If you prepare carefully before submission, you're more likely to receive constructive revision requests. Those revisions can improve your article, attract more readers, and increase its impact. As the saying goes, prior preparation prevents poor performance. And with that in mind, it's probably better to be an optimist or at least a realist than a pessimist when it comes to your chances of acceptance for publication. So that's my opinion. Consider it the next time you choose a journal and choose to submit it there. So talk to you next time.